My husband was celebrating the birthday of his first love's son while our little boy lay dying. I called him from the hospital, begging him to find the best doctor for Cleo. He snapped at me, cold and distant, then hung up. "Don't interrupt us," he said sharply to the Reese. "If you let your jealousy spiral again, I swear I'll divorce you." So there I was, alone beside our son's bedside. I held Cleo's tiny hand as it grew cold, whispered lullabies as the machines went silent, kissed his temple, watched his chest stop rising. I didn't let go until the nurses gently took him away. That was the first time I lost a child. The crematorium smelt of burnt metal and stale air. Dust floated softly through the sunlight, some of it perhaps ashes from another grieving parent's child. Soon, my baby would be part of that dust. I stood there, wearing a black dress that hung loosely on my thin frame. I hadn't eaten in days. Hunger had disappeared. Only emptiness remained. My eyes were swollen from crying, but now, strangely, I felt calm. Too calm. I reached beneath the shroud covering him, touching his small, pale hand, cold and stiff. I placed 2 blue origami stars in his palm, the only thing I could think to do, made with trembling hands the night before. "Cleo," I whispered. The staff watched me, stepping forward cautiously as if afraid I might shatter. But I was already broken. They pulled the cloth away. There was my Cleo, 7 years old, but he looked barely 5. So small, too small. His lips were cracked, his chest sunken. The bruises from the IB lines hadn't faded. There was no dignity in his passing, just a slow, painful decline, while the man who was supposed to love him most smiled at another child's party. I was frozen, unable to scream or cry anymore. I promised to protect him, and I failed. God, I failed. A man beside me tried to offer sympathy. "I'm sorry for your loss. Your son fought hard, but the infection took over too quickly." I said nothing, just stared at Cleo's peaceful face. Then I whispered, "Let him go. Let him find peace." I tucked a strand of hair behind his ear, something he hated when it fell in his eyes. The staff hesitated, then slid his small body into the fire chamber. Maybe they felt pity. Maybe they didn't care. I didn't either. Cleo was free now, no longer begging, no longer asking questions I couldn't answer. "Mom, why doesn't Daddy like me? Mom, why does he only play with Jude? Mom, did I make Daddy stop loving you?" His voice haunted me like a curse. Every time he asked, I swallowed the pain and lied. The truth would have broken him too soon, but now he was broken anyway. Torin killed him. He'd promised Cleo a trip to the amusement park, a chance to win the biggest teddy bear in the world. Instead, he left town to celebrate Leo's birthday with Ruby. When I called, telling him Cleo was burning with fever and struggling to breathe, he said I was hysterical, then hung up. By the time Cleo was admitted, it was too late. The infection had spread through his blood, his lungs collapsed, and his little heart gave out. I held him, trembling, whispering, "Mommy's here, Mommy's here." But I was too late. Since Ruby came back with her son and her crocodile tears, Torin treated me like the enemy, called me unstable, locked me in the house, cut off my cards, painted me jealous and dangerous. "You hurt Ruby and her son, you'll pay double." And I paid. Now I stood outside the crematorium, clutching Cleo's small blue urn, his favorite color. I held it tighter than anything in my life. "We're going home, baby." The warm sun couldn't touch the cold inside me, the hollow, the loneliness. At home, I found Ruby pressing a kiss to Torrance cheek, her hand lingering on his shoulder. "Thank you for Jude's best birthday. But is Cleo okay?" Therese sounded upset earlier. Torrance didn't pull away. His hand stayed on Ruby's waist, and he smiled. The smile of a man who hadn't just lost his son, a man who left his wife and child to suffer alone in the hospital. I stood there, frozen, the urn pressed to my chest as tears fell uncontrollably. If they wanted each other, I'd let them have it. Torin noticed me and jerked his hand away. Guilt or annoyance, I couldn't tell. "You should have told me you were coming back. I was going to send someone for you." He forgot the last time I came alone to the docks near his estate. I asked him to pick me up. He said he was busy. Asked for his men. He spat. "My crew aren't your chauffeurs. Stop acting like a princess or I'll file the divorce papers myself." That night, almost kidnapped walking home, I called him terrified. His only reply, "You're stupid for walking alone. What did you expect?" But when Ruby needed a ride, Torin dropped everything, sent cars, sent men. I looked him in the eye and said flatly, It's fine. He stared longer than usual, something changing in his gaze. Did Cleo get better? I gripped my bag tighter, the urn feeling heavier. I nodded. Then a kid crashed into me. I fell, scraping my wrist. The urn almost slipped. Watch it, I snapped. It was Jude, Ruby's son, glaring at me. You watch it. Why are you even back? Torrin growled. Enough, Jude. Therese, he's just a kid. Don't start. Ruby stepped in, hand on Torrin's chest like she owned the place. Don't be mad. Sorry for the trouble. Jude and I will leave. Torrin pointed at me. She's the problem, not you. Those words tore me apart. They were a family now. I was a ghost in their home. Then Jude lunged for my backpack. Is there food? I'm hungry. The urn slipped, hitting the floor. No, I gasped. Don't touch that. Jude reached for it with dirty hands. What is it? I want to eat it. I shoved him away, not caring anymore. I'd lost too much. Torrin shouted, What's wrong with you? He's a child. You can't treat him like that. Jude yanked my hair, screaming. I bit back my sobs as pain shot through my scalp. It's Cleo's, I whispered. It's his. Ruby pulled Torrin back, soothing. Let it go. If it's Cleo's, Jude shouldn't touch it. Torrin scoffed. This is my house. I decide who touches what. I clutched the urn and walked to my room without a word. Torrin thought I was sulking. He snorted and muttered before escorting Ruby and Jude out like royalty. That night, I packed my things, filled out divorce papers, and sat staring at Cleo's urn. I dreamed of him again, crying in pain, wandering barefoot down an endless hallway of glass and silence, calling for his father. Not me, his father. My heart shattered in the dream. I reached for him but could never catch up. His small hands that once gripped mine tightly were slipping away. I dropped to my knees, begging. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. I should have never left you. I woke on the floor, hands clasped in prayer, hoping wherever he wasn't hurting anymore. Torrin's mansion surrounded me, cold, silent, a place made for appearances, not children, not grief. I hugged my knees, my pillows soaked, chest aching as if something had been torn away. Then I remembered the way Torrin's affection dried up the moment Ruby returned. How he talked about Jude like royalty. Jude smart, respectful, kind, healthy, not like Cleo. He never said those last words out loud, but I heard them. Weeks before Cleo got sick, Torrin looked at me and said, Sometimes I wonder if that child's even mine. If he is, he's not heir material. Too weak. Always sick. That's not the kind of bloodline I want leading anything. I was speechless. I'd spent years trying to win his love, thinking if I was better, softer, smarter, more loyal, he'd come back. But he took that love away from our son, too. Cleo adored him, worshipped him, always showing his drawings, trophies, paper medals made from foil and hope. But Torrin never looked. When Cleo got really sick, Torrin didn't lift a finger. He was too busy planning Jude's birthday party. Balloons, magician, imported cake, a bicycle that probably cost more than the hospital bills. I begged nurses to freeze. Cleo died without his father by his side. Just me. Just silence. Just my son's voice haunting my nightmares. Daddy, where are you? And the truth is, I hate myself. Maybe if I had taken him away, run, he'd still be alive. But I didn't. Now, all I have are dreams, cold rooms, and an empty space where his laughter lived. Then outside, I heard stumbling footsteps, voices. I cracked the door and saw Torrin, drunk and leaning on Ruby. Are you sure you want to go to her room? It's late. She might still be awake, Ruby whispered. Torrin chuckled darkly. Why would I? She was mean to Jude. Torrin led him to my room, door left ajar. I heard everything. Her breathless voice, his groans, the bed creaking. I didn't move or cry, just stared at the wall like a ghost. In the morning, I made hangover soup and placed it on the table like nothing happened. Torrance sat, rubbing his forehead, tired or guilty. I got back late, he said, avoiding my eyes. Didn't want to wake you, so I slept in Jude's room. I nodded. I didn't ask questions or call him out. I knew better. He relaxed, thinking I was still the obedient wife. Then I slid a form across the table. I told him, Cleo's not doing well. I need to go back for a while. Can you sign this travel clearance? He didn't even glance at the paper, just scribbled his name and handed it back. Sure. Go ahead, take care of our kid. He didn't ask what was wrong, how serious it was. He didn't care. He was already smiling again, like my leaving was a relief. I left before dawn. The soup I'd made sat cold and untouched on the table, just like everything else in that house. Torrin didn't say goodbye. The drive to my father's estate took 6 hours. The gates were taller than I remembered, black iron with Calderon crest, flanked by trimmed hedges and stern guards in gray. Everything looked the same, frozen in time, but I was different. Thinner, older, worn in ways I didn't know how to fix. No one greeted me. No servants appeared. The estate was silent, watching. Then the door creaked open. There he stood, Duke Rafe Calderon. No smile, no welcome, just his usual slicked back silver hair, a sharp suit, and a face carved from stone. You, he said coldly, are the daughter who buried our name for love. I stood tall, despite aching knees. No tears, no flinching. I'd cried enough in Torn's house. I met his gaze. The wedding proposal you made 8 years ago, is it still open? Silence. I heard the wind through marble columns, the faint snip of gardener shears. Staff gathered like shadows behind him, listening. Finally he spoke. No, that man is married now, to a family that didn't disgrace mine. He moved to close the door. I held his stare. His hand paused on the handle. But, he said slowly, my younger brother is unmarried. Your sister was to marry him, but wants to finish her studies first. He studied me coldly, like a business deal. If you want, the seat is open. I didn't ask why, didn't pretend offense. I just nodded once. I would marry whoever he chose. Not for pride, not even for Cleo anymore. Just to survive, to strategize, to face whatever came next. They gave me a guest room. It smelled of dust and lemon polish. All my old photos were gone. Staff avoided my eyes as if I died 8 years ago and come back to haunt them. That night, after dinner, I was summoned to meet the younger brother, the forgotten prince. His name was Ephraim Lambert. He waited alone in the old observatory, dressed in black. Dim light softened his delicate but sharp features, like shattered glass carefully pieced back together. I expected weakness, tubes, blank stares. Instead, he stood as I entered. He watched my every move slowly, but with precision. So, he said quietly, the runaway bride returns. I couldn't find words. Tell me, he pressed, did you come for redemption or revenge? I bit my lip, not flirtatious, just steadying myself. He chuckled softly and turned away. Go, he said. Come back when your divorce is final. I wanted to thank him, wanted to say it wasn't that simple, but I couldn't. So I left, closed the door behind me, walked back to the cold room with no blankets, no pictures, no trace of me. I sat on the bed's edge, staring at the floor, just breathing, trying to remember who I was before love ruined me, before grief hollowed me out, before I became a quiet ghost. I didn't sleep. The sun rose, but it never felt like morning, just another layer of silence on the last. I got up. My body moved on autopilot, like it had every day since Cleo got sick, forgetting rest. The halls were cold, no one spoke, no one looked. I sat at the long dining table, eating dry toast that turned to dust on my tongue. No butter, no coffee, just quiet. Then my phone rang. Torrin's name flashed. I answered without thinking. We're heading out. Jude wanted to try parasailing. Ruby couldn't say no. You know her. He laughed like it was a joke between us, like we were still partners, like Cleo never existed. My parents are visiting the mansion later. Can you help them while they're here? I swallowed. All right, thanks, he said, then hung up. No mention of the date. No mention of Cleo. Today was his birthday. Cleo's. I told my father I would return to the mansion after the divorce. He said nothing, just sipped coffee, reading the newspaper, as if I'd never left 8 years ago, as if I'd never come back. Back at the glass mansion that never felt like home, I remembered the day, Cleo's birthday. My hands trembled. I went straight to my room, the only place that still held him. I lit a candle beside his photo and the pink urn beneath it. His favorite dinosaur plush sat waiting, as if ready to be hugged again. No one remembered. No calls, no flowers, not a single message. Not from Torin, not from his family. They were too busy celebrating Jude. Cleo once told me he wanted to try sailing. He saw it in a cartoon, said he wanted to fly over the sea wearing his pirate socks. A frail kid, they said he'd get blown off the rope. But now, Jude gets to go parasailing. Torin laughed and said no to Cleo. Too risky. But Cleo didn't get a birthday. I stayed until the gate beat. The door opened. Footsteps. The help led them in like royalty. Torin's parents. I stood in the hallway. No smiles. His mother barely glanced at me, wrinkling her nose. Where's your frail little boy? Dead or still breathing? My lips parted. Before I could answer, his father cut in. Never mind that. How's Jude? We heard Ruby might be expecting again. Is it true? I stood still, quiet, fighting to hold myself together. She brings light to Torin's life, his mother said. She doesn't cause scenes, always composed, so pleasant, unlike some women. I lowered my gaze. Then his father said, go help the chef, but first serve us tea. Tell Torin we expect him next week for our anniversary. You can come too. Bring your sick child if you want. My fingers clenched my skirt, but I nodded. I went to the kitchen, told the chef to prepare jasmine tea, set the tray myself, bringing it out like I had no pride left. My smile was steady, porcelain, but inside, I was screaming. As I placed the cups, my hand slipped. One shattered on the floor, porcelain splintering like it had been waiting. His mother gasped and glared. You've always been clumsy, she snapped. God help you. You can't even carry tea right. I looked at the shards and straightened. Forgive me, I said. Not for the cup, not even for now, but for who I once was. The girl who begged for their love, who thought she had to earn a place at their table. That girl is dead now, just like my son. They didn't stay to eat. Torin's parents rose, faces full of disgust, like the tea insulted them personally. His mother placed her cup down, muttering, this is bitter. Even something as simple as tea you can't get right. Bitter, like your life. She adjusted her gloves, her voice cold and careful. I'll tell Torin how clumsy you've become. You're falling apart. Maybe this time he'll leave you for good. I've told him for years, you don't belong in our lives. You were never worth the trouble. I looked at her, didn't nod, didn't speak, just gripped the table edge tightly, hoping the words wouldn't cut as deep. She turned, leaving without a word. No thanks, no goodbye. The door closed. Seconds later, tires screeched down the driveway. Silence returned. That same silence that lives in every room of this glass house. I took a breath and told the maid, no need to prepare lunch. They're gone. She nodded. I climbed the stairs slowly, one heavy step at a time. Halfway up, whispers reached me, soft, quick, from the kitchen below. She didn't even cry when they left. I think that little boy, Cleo, he's dead. I saw the urn in her room. Too bad. Mr. Torin only talks about Jude now. He brings Ruby flowers and hasn't even visited Cleo's grave. Probably doesn't even know. Even if he does, he doesn't care. Cleo was different, gentle, kind. He never had a chance. She used to be the lady of the house. Now look at her, just surviving. I kept walking, no flinching, no defense. Maybe they were right. I closed my door behind me. Then my phone rang. Torin's name lit the screen. It rang once, twice. I stared until it stopped. No voicemail, no message. I stood in silence. Then I changed. I wore the soft blue dress Cleo loved, with little white clouds. He said it looked like the sky, like the mom in storybooks, the safe, happy kind. I picked up his urn, held it close, warm from sunlight. I left without telling anyone. I went to Ocean Park. It was where Cleo always wanted to go on his birthday. He begged me every year. Just once, Mama. I want to see the dolphins. I'll be good, I promise. but Torrance said no. Too harsh, too risky. So we never went, until now. I bought one ticket, but paid for 2 seats. One for me, one for him. We watched the dolphins. I lit a candle by the railing, let the flame dance in the breeze, though it almost went out. I talked to him, told him how proud I was, how much I missed him. I even laughed once. The sound startled me. Maybe people thought I was crazy, whispering to a pink urn, like it could answer, but I didn't care. This day was for Cleo, all his. I looked up at the sky, watched sunlight flicker through clouds. "Happy birthday, baby," I whispered, my voice trembling. Tears came, but I wiped them away. I couldn't cry too much, not today, because this day still belonged to him. When I got home, darkness had already fallen. The hallway lights were dim. I was halfway through the foyer when I saw him. Before I could say a word, his palm cracked hard across my face. It happened so fast I didn't have time to brace myself. My head whipped to the side, my shoulders slammed against the doorframe. White spots flashed in my vision, my ears rang. But I didn't let go of the urn. I don't know how, maybe instinct. I just knew I had to protect it. That small ceramic piece held more of me than I had left. "Are you insane?" Torrance's voice echoed sharply through the house. "How dare you insult my parents like that?" I stared at him, my mouth still closed. He kept going, furious. "They told me everything, said you spat in their tea, said you threatened them, threatened to kill them in their own home. What kind of sick woman does that?" Before I could shake my head, his hand struck me again, harder this time. My neck snapped to the left. I tasted blood, but still no tears. My face stung, but my heart didn't. "Torrin," Ruby called, pretending to sound concerned, but I heard the fake sweetness. "Please, don't. She's not worth it. Just let her calm down. She's tired or something." He turned to her and softened instantly. "Babe, don't waste your breath. She's been like this since day one, always playing the victim, twisting everything. You've just been too kind," he added, nodding like it was fact. "That's why she thinks she can keep stepping out of line." Ruby curled against the wall like a fragile princess, eyes flicking toward me like I was dirt. Jude sat on the couch, headphones slipping off one ear, music faintly playing. He didn't pause or ask what was happening, just smirked like this was a show. The maid stayed silent but whispered near the dining room, "She's still holding the urn. She didn't even fight back. Poor thing. She's just a ghost now. I heard she went to the ocean alone with the boy's ashes." I said nothing. No energy left. Then Torrin looked down at my arms, at the white urn cradled so carefully. "What's that?" he asked, like it was just a bag. Before I could step back, he snatched it from me. "No," I said, too late. He held it in one hand, glaring. "Are you serious? You went out crying to strangers with this? What is this? Another one of your pathetic performances?" He shook it lightly, enough to make my stomach twist. "An urn? Who's died this time? Your pride?" Ruby laughed softly, hiding her face. Jude chuckled, still watching like an amused spectator. The blood dried on my lip, face burning, but my voice was steady. "Give that back." He raised the urn higher. "Why? Who's it supposed to be? Huh? You collecting ashes now?" I stared at him, jaw tight. "It's Cleo." Silence fell like a blade cutting through the room. Torrance's smirk vanished. Ruby stopped smiling. Jude blinked, looked away. Nobody spoke. Torrance's eyes narrowed, then he slowly looked at the urn again. His grip loosened, but he said nothing. I stood there, empty, broken, waiting to see if he'd return my son to me, or shatter what was left. Then the urn slipped from his hand. It hit the floor before I could react. I heard the sharp crack, the sickening sound of ceramic breaking. Then came the burst, like dust exploding. But it wasn't dust. It was Cleo, my boy, what was left of him, scattered across the tiles like he was never loved, never held, never mine. I screamed. From somewhere deep inside, someplace I didn't know still lived. I dropped to my knees. My hands moved on their own, trying to gather what I could. Ash, bone, fragments of the urn, all mixed together. My fingers trembled so hard, they didn't feel like mine. Nails scraped the floor, digging into sharp shards. I couldn't feel the pain yet, only the emptiness. Behind me, I heard Torrin breathing, calm, like nothing had happened, watching me like I was a mess he regretted stepping over. "Stop screaming like someone killed you," he said flatly. "You're not the victim here." I couldn't lift my head, still scooping the pieces. Tears blurred my vision. Heat burned my face. Something inside broke. Again, he kept speaking, loud and heartless. "I got the hospital update this morning," he said. "Cleo's fine, smiling in his bed, sitting up. The doctor even sent photos." I looked at my hands, ash under my nails, on my palms, and the cracks on the floor. "You lied," Torrin said, stepping closer. "You faked his death to get sympathy. You're sicker than I thought. He died. I held him. I held him when he stopped breathing, but it was like talking to a wall that hated sound." Ruby stepped forward, kneeling beside Torrin, soft and delicate like a poisonous flower. "Maybe she's mad at me," she said, voice trembling with false tears. "Maybe she wanted me to feel pain. Maybe that's why she said he was dead, to scare me." She glanced at the ashes, her lips tightened in a fake shiver. "Maybe that's me someday. Dust on the floor, forgotten, disrespected." Then she started crying, big, heavy sobs that felt like a performance. She pressed a hand to her chest, leaning on the couch as if her heart had shattered. Jude watched quietly until she reached for him. "Come on, sweetheart," Ruby said between sobs. "Let's go. Mommy can't breathe here. I don't want you to see this ugliness." Jude looked confused, but not upset. He got up and followed her. Torrin pulled Ruby close, holding her like she was precious. "Don't cry, baby," he whispered, kissing her temple. "You're the only one who matters. Let's go upstairs. Just ignore her." I stayed on the floor with what was left of my son, my hands shredded, my mouth too dry to cry. I don't know how long I stayed there. Hours, maybe, until even my heart stopped trying to beat. That night, I couldn't sleep. My body ached. My knees scraped raw. Dried blood stained them without me noticing. I stayed curled on the floor, back against the wall outside my room, hugging my knees. Past midnight, I heard coughing. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was one of the maids. Then I heard Torrin's voice, panicked, loud. Ruby, what is it? Where does it hurt?" I stayed silent. Ruby was sobbing, hoarse, dramatic. "I can't breathe. Oh God, my stomach hurts. My chest, Torrin. I feel cursed. That urn, ever since you brought it into the house, I feel like something's choking me." I heard the bed creak, footsteps, Torrin pacing, cursing under his breath. "That bitch." Ruby sniffled, making a fainting sound. "I heard the maids talking. They said she bought something, some kind of poison. Maybe she put it in the urn. Maybe she wanted to kill me. She hates me so much, Torrin. I'm scared. I don't want to die. Not me, not the baby." I didn't move, didn't blink. Yet, somehow, I knew he would come for me. The door slammed open with a crack. Torrin burst in, face like a demon in the dark, eyes wild, breathing heavy. He grabbed my wrist and yanked me up like I weighed nothing. "You did this." I stumbled, twisted my ankle, arm throbbing. "You put poison in this house," he spat. "You cursed Ruby, you sick freak. You knew she was pregnant and still brought death here." I tried to speak, but he cut me off. "She could have died tonight. You want that? You want her dead?" He dragged me into her room like a child being punished. "Kneel," he commanded. I stood still, staring at him. "Kneel and apologize to Ruby." "No." He slapped me. Stars burst behind my eyes. "On your knees." I still refused. That was all I had left, my spine. He kicked the backs of my knees. I fell hard. Skin tore open again, blood soaking through my pants, warm against my calves. Ruby sat on the couch, regal and composed, hair perfect, belly on display with a little blanket. She cried into her hands, but it was just a show. I don't believe her, Ruby said. She doesn't mean it. Make her say it louder, Torin. I want to hear her cry. He stood behind me like a wall, shadow covering the floor. He hissed, apologize. Say it until she forgives you. I looked down, lips trembling. I'm sorry. My voice hoarse, barely mine. I'm sorry. Again and again and again, until my throat felt like it was bleeding. Then Ruby stood slowly, pressing her hands to her belly, wobbling, gasping for breath. Torin, something's wrong. My stomach. I think I'm bleeding. Then she collapsed perfectly into his arms, like a carefully rehearsed act. He caught her instantly, holding her gently like she was fragile glass about to shatter. Ruby, stay with me, he panicked, eyes wide as he checked her pulse and touched her face. Someone, get the damn car. I stayed kneeling on the floor, blood soaking through my pants. I didn't move. He lifted Ruby like she was sacred, carrying her like a queen. Before he left, his eyes cut into me like knives. Don't move. Hear me? Don't even breathe too loud. Think about what you've done. I said nothing. You don't deserve a bed, he said. Then the door slammed behind them. Silence. Time lost meaning. Maybe 10 minutes passed, maybe more. My legs went numb. My head floated. Then the door creaked open again. Small footsteps approached. A quiet voice spoke. Why are you sitting like that? Jude asked. I looked up. He held a toy car, one of those blue ones with doors that open. He looked fresh from bed, pajamas neat, hair soft and brushed. His face was calm. No fear, no anger, just humming like any other morning. I watched him walk away without looking back. All I could do was whisper to myself, soon, this would all be over. I had already sent the divorce papers. They were with the lawyer now. All I had to do was wait for the finalization. Then I could be free. Then I could make them pay. He came back early the next morning. I heard the door before I saw him. His footsteps were slow this time. No slamming, just walking in like a storm finished ruining everything. Torin didn't speak right away. He dropped a bottle in front of me. Painkillers, no label. He didn't look at me as he said, try not to kill anyone next time. Then he grabbed his keys, paused at the door. My parents' anniversary is this weekend. You're still my wife. People will be looking for you. Bring Cleo. I didn't move. You heard me, he added. Bring him. Clean him up. Smile. You know the drill. Then he left. Back to the hospital. Back to Ruby. Torin made me ride shotgun. I didn't argue or speak. He didn't even glance at me. Behind us, Ruby and Jude cuddled like a fairy tale family. She laughed softly, brushing his hair. Jude leaned against her shoulder like a perfect little prince. I sat stiff in my plain black dress, the fabric rough and cheap. Everyone else had dressed hours ago. Sequins, embroidery, jewels probably insured separately. Ruby wore white, of course. White pearls down her back like a saint, a bride, or both. No one looked at me before we left, not even Jude. We arrived at the estate just before sunset. Photographers waited at the gate, bright lights flashing before car doors opened. Torin stepped out first, straightening his suit and cuffs. Then, he opened Ruby's door himself. She stepped out like a queen, smiling at the cameras. Jude followed her hand. The perfect family. I slipped out quietly on the other side. No one offered help. My shoes sank into the gravel. Don't speak unless spoken to, Torin said without looking back. I nodded. He was already heading inside, Ruby on his arm. The ballroom glimmered with gold. Chandeliers, champagne towers, a live quartet playing something expensive and forgettable. Torin raised his glass before we reached the stairs. Everyone, he announced, this is Ruby, my soon-to-be everything. Applause. She smiled, dipping her head like royalty. And this, he said, motioning Jude forward, is the future of the family. Grandparents made Jude bow, kissed his forehead, praised him as smart, perfect, obedient. I stood near the coat racks, my dress too short, looking like the help. Someone asked Torin's mother who I was. She didn't even blink. Oh, that's just the old wife. Couldn't raise a proper child. Where's that sick boy she locked up all those years? That brat can't even show his face now? Ruby placed her hand on her chest, all fake concern. Cleo's recovering, she said gently. He couldn't travel. It's too much for him. Then she looked at me with pity. Poor thing. She kissed Torin on the cheek like I wasn't there. My fists clenched, but I said nothing. Then a waiter dropped a silver tray near the dessert tower. The crash echoed. Everyone turned. Torin's father laughed like it was the best joke all night. We have guests to honor, he said loudly, not disasters to pity. If she wants to be useful, he pointed at me, let her clean it up. A few guests cuckolded. Ruby stepped forward, all kindness again. She used to be such a good hostess. Maybe she can help pass out the champagne, just until the servers catch up. Torin said nothing, so I picked up the empty tray. I followed the waitstaff, carrying flutes and handing out napkins. One girl gave me a sad smile. No one else made eye contact. Near the bar, I overheard whispers. Is that the first wife? I thought she was in rehab or jail. I heard she poisoned the house with the child's ashes. Can you imagine? I kept walking. My hands didn't shake anymore. They couldn't take what I'd already lost. Not again. Let them think I was nothing. Soon, they'd all see. While serving champagne near the garden, I tried to disappear into the shadows. The guests lounged in white chairs with gold trim, laughing like their lives were perfect. 6 times I caught murmurs, quiet praises about how good Torin and Ruby looked together. They're such a power couple. She glows next to him. Their son is so well behaved. You can tell she raised him right. They're meant to be. She's so graceful. Even while pregnant, Torin finally got it right. I pretended not to hear, kept moving between cables, silver tray balanced in my hands, fingers cramping from gripping it so tightly. I felt small in that plain black dress they forced me to wear. Everyone else sparkled with sequins, silks, and gemstones passed down through generations. Then it happened. Jude stuck his foot out. I saw it too late. The toe of his polished shoe caught the edge of my heel. I stumbled forward. The tray tipped. Flutes crashed. Champagne spilled, staining a woman's ivory gown. Gasps filled the room. Music faltered. Conversations stopped. I stood still in the center, hands shaking, but I didn't cry. Jude stood proudly beside his seat, chin lifted like a little prince. She ruins everything, he said, loud and clear, just like she ruined my baby brother. Silence swallowed the air. All eyes turned to me. My throat tightened. My knees wanted to buckle. Ruby stood slowly, hand on her stomach, voice soft and practiced. Please, she said, looking around. He's just a child. He's scared from me and the baby. Ever since that cursed urn, he's been having nightmares. Gasps echoed. Someone whispered, the urn? Oh God. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Then I whispered to myself, too quietly to hear, the cursed urn where my son's ashes were destroyed by all of you. No one flinched. Maybe they didn't hear. Maybe they pretended not to. Then I saw Torin cutting across the ballroom, face dark with fury. He grabbed my arm so tightly I almost fell. You embarrassed me tonight, he hissed, breath hot with anger. You ruined Ruby's mood. Before I could speak, his hand slapped my face. I tasted blood. My lips split. I didn't fall. I wouldn't. Footsteps approached. Ruby again, hand on her stomach, raising the other in innocent worry. Please, babe, don't hurt her. She's still the mother of your child. Torin's parents came next. Her mother's face was cold as stone. Divorce him now, Torin. I don't want a bitch like that in this family. I didn't look down. No need, I said, voice trembling but steady. I already filed for divorce. You can have your son back. Torin blinked, as if he didn't understand. His mother didn't wait. She slapped me hard. My head snapped with the force. How dare you speak in this house? She yelled. Whispers floated around us like poison. Is she serious? She's mad. A divorce? She can't raise a child alone. She should be locked up again. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. The screen lit up with one message. Your divorce has been finalized. I stared. Then I smiled. smiled. It wasn't happiness. It was freedom. The kind that comes after years buried alive. I wiped blood off my lip and straightened my back. Then I turned and walked toward the grand gate. The path felt endless. My feet ached, but I didn't stop. "Where are you going?" Torin called behind me. I didn't look back. "To choose my life this time." He lunged for my wrist. Then Ruby sighed, perfect and dainty, right on cue. Everyone rushed to her side. Cameras clicked, glasses dropped. Someone called for water. Another yelled for a nurse. No one stopped me. Back at the mansion, the maid opened the door like she saw a ghost. I didn't speak. I just walked in, dragging the torn dress behind me like a second skin. Upstairs, Cleo's room was untouched. His set lingered in the corners, a sweetness I can never explain. I opened his drawers, packed his toys, the ones he chewed on, his picture books, teeth marks still visible. I folded his tiny clothes, held each to my chest. Then I took off my wedding ring, left it on his pillow. The maid watched from the hall. She didn't ask. She didn't stop me. I walked to my old car, closed the door, started the engine. Through the windshield, I stared at the glass mansion. Cold, beautiful. I whispered, "Goodbye forever, Torin. Wait for my reckoning." My phone rang. Then again, texts followed. "Come back. You embarrassed me. Ungrateful witch. Apologize now or I'll make your life hell." I smiled, opened my keyboard, sent one emoji, a middle finger. Then I drove away. Torin's point of view. After the anniversary gala, the hall was still buzzing long after she left. Like a hive someone kicked open. Ruby was limp in my arms, her white dress flowing like some fragile porcelain angel. But I wasn't focused on her. My eyes kept darting to the gate where Therese disappeared, that stupid woman, walking out like she had pride. My mother was furious beside me, muttering curses in Italian under her breath. My father just shook his head, whispering about disgrace and lost control. Useless words, as always. They never liked Therese, but wanted her quiet, tamed. Now look at what she did. Made a scene, spat in the face of our name. Someone near the champagne fountain leaned in loud enough for me to hear. "Your ex-wife has more spine than I expected." I clenched my jaw and snapped at a waiter for a drink. Not champagne, wine, red, something that bites. My hand trembled as I took the glass. I cursed under my breath, pretending to fix my cufflink. But it was her. She always knew how to strike back when I least expected. On stage, Jude climbed like it was a circus act. He raised his glass and smiled at the guests, that smug little smile he inherited from Ruby. "A toast," he said proudly, "for Mommy Ruby and the new baby." Applause followed. Ruby stirred softly in my arms, the perfect actress. I kissed her temple and whispered, "You okay, babe?" She just nodded weakly, eyes closed like she was glass. But I was done playing this game. I got her to the car, the flash of cameras still chasing us. I made sure her dress didn't touch the floor. Her hair stayed flawless. She liked feeling precious, and I gave her that. Unlike Therese, who never knew how to be grateful. The driver shut the door. Ruby slumped against the window, breathing slow. I knew she was awake. She always pretended to sleep when she wanted silence or when she wanted me to stew. I unlocked my phone. 10 missed calls, all for her. No answer. I sent another text. "You ungrateful witch. Apologize now or I'll make your life hell." Seconds later, a reply. One emoji, a middle finger. I stared at it, jaw tightening, nostrils flaring. That bitch. Ruby shifted slightly beside me. Her lips twitched, a small, satisfied smile. At the hospital, I couldn't sit still. I paced like a beast with no cage. Nurses glanced, but no one dared to tell me to calm down. I was boiling inside, not just from the press or the slap, but from her, from that look. "You can have your son back." That's what she said before walking out. No fight, no screens, no tears. Just a cold, dead stare, as if I was a stranger, scrubbed off her skin. I pulled out my phone and called the lawyer. He answered on the second ring. "Is the divorce just a bluff?" I asked. A pause, then a sigh. "It's done, sir. Finalized. Signed, processed, recorded." She didn't bluff. My throat went dry. I hung up. Seconds later, my phone buzzed again. Dozens of notifications. My name was trending. I opened the app. A leaked photo of Dida's. Blood on her lip, messy hair, blank eyes, caught in a spotlight, wearing that torn black dress like she crawled out of a grave. CEO strikes wife during anniversary gala. Thousands of comments. Hashtags calling me a monster, a criminal, a disgrace. Speculation, analysis, video replays. One caught the slap at a new angle. I cursed and threw my phone across the chair. Ruby flinched beside me, hooked to an IV, sobbing softly, burying her face. "This is ruining everything," she said, voice breaking. "This baby, this time. It was supposed to be different. I can't lose my child because of stress, Torin. Not because of her." I pulled her close. "You won't lose anything," I said. I stood and dialed again. This time, Damon, my fixer. "Those photos, the videos, I don't care who has them. I want them gone by midnight." "Already on it, boss." Footage came from hotel staff and guests. Some idiots uploaded to private accounts. I don't care where they came from. Find them. Buy them off. Threaten them. Leak their sex tapes if you have to. Understood. Anyone who doesn't cooperate, I said, voice ice. I want blacklisted. I want them bleeding. You get rewarded if it's quiet. If my name's trending tomorrow, someone loses their head. He laughed nervously. "Got it, boss. You'll be clean by morning." I hung up and sat beside Ruby again. She leaned on me like I was her shield. But I wasn't calm. No matter how much I cleaned up this mess, how quiet I made the internet, that image of Therese walking out, spine straight, eyes dead, would not leave my mind. Fuck. It was nearly 2 in the morning when I left the hospital. Ruby was out cold on sedatives. Jude curled up in an expensive cot like a prince born into war. Doctors kept their heads down, afraid to talk to me. I told bodyguards not to let anyone in unless they had a death wish. I drove straight to the glass mansion. The place felt colder than usual, like something sacred had been ripped out. Light still glowed softly off marble floors and crystal railings. Everything perfect, silent, empty, too empty. I walked through the halls. No scent of perfume, no sound of slippers, no humming, just silence. Cleo's room was wide open. Toys were gone. Storybooks, blankets, everything cleared, like he never existed. I stepped to the bed. Something caught my eye on the pillow. A ring. Teresa's wedding ring. I picked it up slowly, heavy, for something so small. I stared until my hand trembled. She left this. She left me. I squeezed the ring so hard my knuckles cracked. The sound echoed in the silence. I couldn't take it. I slammed my fist into the wall. Plaster cracked, skin split, blood dripped to the floor. A maid picked from the hallway, eyes wide. She saw the blood, saw the ring. I turned my head slowly. She vanished before I could say a word. Smart girl. I pulled out my phone and dialed Carson, my most loyal, ruthless dog. He answered instantly. "Sir, I want her found." I didn't care my hand was bleeding. My voice stayed calm. "Use the team. Pay whoever you need. Bribe airport staff. Stalk her friends. Break into her email. Find her. Yes, sir. I want access to her accounts. Track her calls, clone her messages, ping her locations. I want to know what she eats and where she sleeps. I want to know who breathes near her." Carson hesitated. "What do I tell them if they ask why?" I stood in the ruined room, clutching the ring, blood running down my wrist. "Tell them I'm taking back what's mine." Silence on the line. I dropped my voice. She walked away first. How dare she? It should have been me leaving her, not the other way around. I clenched my jaw. She humiliated me in front of everyone, disrespected my name, made me look weak. All those years I gave her, now she thinks she can grow a spine and walk off like I'm some side character in her comeback story? I hissed through my teeth. No. She wants war. I'll give her war. But she'll beg to come back before I'm done. She'll learn the price of defiance. Carson didn't respond. He didn't have to. He knew what to do. And I just stood there, alone, with the blood, the silence, and her ring burning in my hand. Ruby's POV. The first thing I felt was the sun. It poured gently through white curtains, casting soft light over silk sheets. The room smelled of flowers and antiseptic. I opened my eyes slowly, like a fragile doll waking from a fever dream. I stretched one hand caressing my belly, the other reaching for the button beside me. Then I saw Jude, curled up on the guest bed across from mine, little fist tucked under his cheek like a holy angel. Not a sound from him. Perfect. Just the way I taught him. I turned my head fully and grinned. Good job, baby. You act just like mama. I'm so proud of you. You took Torrens' heart like it was nothing. My phone sat on the nightstand. I picked it up, scanning messages quickly until I found what I wanted. Divorce finalized. It's done. The race is out. Sent by my little shadow, a man who thinks he works for Torren, but only follows my orders, like a dog dressed in silk. I couldn't stop the wicked laugh bubbling from my throat. The Reyes Masato. What a name. What a tired, wasted life, I whispered, lips brushing the word like a kiss. Finally, my turn. The door creaked, and I blinked and softened my face instantly. Innocent, fragile, loving. The nurse entered, clipboard in hand, young, with kind eyes. Miss Ruby, how are you feeling? She asked. I touched my belly and gave her the softest smile. Much better, thank you. I'm just glad the baby is safe, and Jude too. God has been so good to me. The nurse beamed, nodding. Your vitals look excellent. We'll get you discharged tonight if all stays normal. Thank you so much, I said sweetly, eyes wet with practiced emotion. She left with a warm goodbye. The moment the door clicked shut, I tilted my head and smiled again, but not the sweet smile, the real one I wear when I win. I grabbed my phone and opened my stylish chat. Text me options. Gowns, heels, everything red. I'm taking the throne. I pressed send and leaned back against the pillow. Everything was going exactly as planned. Torren was spiraling. The race was erased. Jude did his part. And me, I was just getting started.